Hey everybody, welcome back to I Know a Guy. I'm Anthony, and this is the podcast where connections thrive. Each episode, we spotlight inspiring entrepreneurs, professionals, and individuals doing amazing things. Together, we'll grow your circle, spark collaborations, and discover new opportunities. Today, we're meeting Erika Giuggio, a business optimization specialist who helps entrepreneurs reduce their bottom line in 90 days or less. With experience developing a patent at just 21 and founding a marketing agency, Erika now focuses on fixing operational inefficiencies to drive sustainable growth and long-term success. How you doing today, Erica?
I'm great. How are you, Anthony?
I'm doing pretty good. I can't complain. Healthier than I have been for the last couple months. Kept having that cough that I just couldn't get rid of. So, I mean, like everybody else in the world, but feeling good now. So fantastic. We're gonna go with fantastic. So, um, how are you doing?
I'm good. And I was just gonna say maybe it's because you were participating in Dry January, and then that's why you're better now.
Yeah, no, we'll go with that. Awesome, awesome. So yeah, I enjoyed our conversation that we had. It's been a little while now, but I was like, super excited to have you on. You're doing some really cool things. I think people need to know more about it. So was excited to have you come talk about it and share your story. So to start off, where are you located? Where are you calling in from?
I'm calling in from Toronto.
Okay. Are you originally Canadian up in that area, or are you newer to the area?
I've always lived in Toronto. It's my home base. I've gone to some other parts. I've gone to Europe, but Toronto is my home base.
That's awesome. For folks that haven't been, let's say they're going to visit, you have some friends coming into town. Where are you taking them? What are you doing? And where are you guys going for dinner?
Okay, so I know that this is obvious, but we're going to the CN Tower. We're going to Ripley's. If it's the summertime, we're going to go to the Toronto Island. And for dinner, I'm going to say Choto Mate. And it's a Peruvian Japanese restaurant that's Nobu's competitor, but little secret, I think it's a little bit better. And I think a lot of Torontonians think it's also a little bit better.
That is a very concise answer. You nailed it. A lot of people go, well, it's depending on what they like. And you're like, no, we're going here. It's the best. Trust me. I like that. So that's awesome. What do you typically get there? What's good?
Okay, so I usually get the Wagyu, the purple potato. That's I don't know why, but that's something that you just don't find every day, like a purple potato, mashed potato. You have to get some sushi and all of the fish dishes that have been marinating in, I guess you can say like the flavors that like you're gonna get each piece, like the tuna, the cod, all of that stuff. It's more of like a if you're hungry, that it's not a place to go. It's a place where you nitpick.
Ah, okay. So you hit up like a drive-through on the way. You kind of fill up. You still have a little room, and then you go, you go there. Is that what you're saying? Or you hit the
I
drive-through
would
on the way
say
home?
I would say on the way home after we go to the bar and then we're hungry again.
There you go. Awesome, awesome. Sounds fun. So, what can you tell us about what you do?
Okay, so what I do on the business optimization specialist side of things and how I got here. So when I was in the marketing space, I realized and I noticed that a lot of businesses want to incorporate marketing into their business, but there's a lot of cracks in the foundation. And if you don't fix those things, those are the things that any marketing efforts that you do, it's just going to go down the drain. So what I do is I go into a business and I ask these three questions. Where do you want to go? Where do you want to be? Why haven't you gotten there? And what's the landscape looking like right now? And what I do is I'll dive in and I'll try to understand what are some of your operational efficiencies? Why do you have some high turnover? That's a huge common problem nowadays. And what does the overall organizational structure look like? And then from there, I'll dive into their operational expenses and try to figure out if there's room that we could find some savings. When we're able to find some savings, the other pieces that need to be filled up with some cement in those cracks, we're able to take that money and now you have the opportunity to say, hey, we're going to fill those cracks, or I'm just going to put it in the bank, or I'm going to go shopping. Maybe I'll go to Dubai. So that's a high level overview of what we do.
Okay, awesome. Well, is this what you always want to do? Obviously, you've had a journey here. You created something at 21, a marketing agency. What does that story look like? How did you end up where you are?
Great question. Well, when I was a kid, I wanted to be a Spice Girl, so clearly not that now. But I guess it's for me, it's been an interesting journey. So when I created the patent at 21, it was something that I was so proud of. I was excited, but I didn't have any connections. I had no idea what the heck I was doing. All I had was my lawyer and maybe a few pieces here and there to put a business together. And that's when I realized you have to make more connections. You got to get into a business to kind of learn the functions. And that's why I would also say I went from different avenues to learn different things. So eventually that patent, I'm gonna go full force with it. But I started with the patent. Then I said, you know what? Let's do something where it's interesting, it's fun, it's exciting. What did the marketing piece, worked for a company called WSI, which is also a franchise. And I learned there all the digital marketing pieces. And once I saw how everything got put together, I did notice a big gap there as well. And I said to myself, you know what? I wanna do more. I don't want to just have this patent. I want to have like seven incomes coming in. I want to be that person that just wakes up in the morning and there's already money in the bank account. And then I can do the things that I want to focus on. Hence, I talked to a franchise consultant, and that's how I got into Schooley Mitchell, what I'm doing now.
That's awesome. And don't give up your dream about the Spice Girls yet. You could be Schooly Spice. Um, I think that would work really, really well. Definitely sets you apart. That's a marketing angle. I'm just saying, go for it. Um, but what do you love about what you're doing now?
I don't, this is going to be an interesting take, but it's not the day to day that I love when I'm putting all the paperwork together. It's what I get to see at the end with a lot of different businesses and then transformation. Because myself and many other people that start different small businesses struggle, and 80% of businesses fail. So if I can help you win the lottery with $20,000, $100,000 to figure out, okay, like I have this extra money, let's put it towards something else. There's something about helping people out that it just makes you feel good inside. And that's what really, I would say, gets me up in the morning and it helps me keep going.
That's awesome. Yeah, I love that. Yeah, I get that exactly. So you talk to a lot of entrepreneurs, you're an entrepreneur yourself, you see a lot of businesses. What are some mistakes, or what advice would you give somebody that's maybe starting off in the entrepreneur world, or maybe they're newer to it that if you could go back and tell yourself, for example, what advice would you give them?
Stop doing everything yourself. When you learn how to do something once, maybe even twice, hire somebody out to do it. Now, back then, what that meant to me was I needed to hire somebody part-time or full-time on the team. And you get into this space where you have to ask yourself, do I have the money to do this yet? But the other side, you got to look at the opportunity cost. And one thing I learned, even as a solopreneur, is just get somebody that's fractional, get a contractor, even get a white label team. So when I was in the marketing space, I was a white label team. I would come in as the marketer that was technically part of your team. I would have that domain at the end of my email, but I was working with so many other companies. And with that, you're not just hiring one person. When you hire a white label team, you're getting 10 people essentially for the price of one because they're on contract and they're a fractional team. Instead of one person, you got to hire, fire, train, benefits, all that fun stuff. So that I would say that's the first thing. I would say second thing is you're going to get knocked around quite a bit and it's a lonely space. You're going to have to toughen up, put some thicker skin on, and it's not a 9 to 5 game. You're not an employee now, you're an employer. And every hour on the hour, you're not getting paid. So also remember everything that you're doing, you got to make it worth it. And it's okay to also have other side hustles on the side to implement your day to day. Because if you don't have those things, what's going to happen in a lot of your sales calls or just when you're meeting people is this desperation. And even though you might not say certain things, it's just a feeling. And that's when you get that appearance of that like sleazy salesman. And nobody likes that. So when you have that in place, you're more confident, you have a different vibe, and it just makes things a lot easier. Those are the three things I would say if I had to go back, I would rework it.
Yeah, that's fantastic advice. And commission breath is a real thing. If you're sitting across from a table and you need that sale, they sense it, they pick it up, and it's the most off-putting thing that you could be doing. So absolutely, it's real. It's weird to kind of be on that side of me, like, okay, I've been here. This is uncomfortable for everybody involved. So that's fantastic advice. What is the avatar of your average client, or what are some pain points that business might be going through that if they're dealing with XYZ, they should be talking to you?
So they have, and I wouldn't say it's just particular types of businesses, but I would say it's quite a few businesses nowadays. You're dealing with inflation. We're in a bit of a trade war right now where things are going to go up again. You have everything just going up and up and up. I would say those are the biggest pain points that people come to us and say, I'm ready because now I'm at my last straw. The other piece I would also say is a lot of businesses, they get into business because they're good at a skill that they're doing, right? So I work with a lot of people in construction. They're good at turning the lights on, putting the wires through the ceiling, creating those series and parallel circuits. When they get home at the end of the day, they're tired. I don't blame them. It's a long day. They don't focus on the business side. And because they want to crack open a beer and call it a day. So I would say that's a big pain point too, is they're struggling because they're not only focusing on the skill, but they're tired. You can only do so much. I would also say that in conjunction with an accountant, a CFO, a bookkeeper, anybody in those spaces, it's not everyone's favorite thing to do. It's actually quite boring. I had a conversation the other day and someone goes, "Oh, taxes." I'm like, "Yeah, you gotta get it done and over with." So those are the pain points that mostly people come up to me with, or they're at their last straw and they're like, "Listen, I'm gonna have to close my doors if I don't find X, Y, and Z in the next 6 months. What can you do?" And it's a huge problem here. There's 150 people a day in Canada going bankrupt.
Yeah. Absolutely, and you're not wrong. If you're a really good plumber and you start, I'm gonna go be a really good plumber. Are you also really good at HR? Are you also really good at payroll? Are you also really good at taxes? Are you also really good at marketing? Are you also really all of it? And it hits every single one of us. I mean, there's probably a few out there that are like, "Oh, I figured that out before I got started." Most don't. So that's super important. So awesome. What about power partners? What does your average power partner look like? What are other industries or professionals that you've been able to collaborate well with?
Accountants, CFOs, mergers and acquisitions, business brokers. I would also say adjacent to what I do as well in this expense reduction space. I've also, because I'm in the construction sphere, any other consultants as well. And I would say coaches, business coaches that are actually doing well are in my, those would be my referral partners.
Okay. What would you say is some of the biggest operational inefficiencies that are hurting businesses?
Merchant services is huge. If you ever go to McDonald's, Burger King, any fast food restaurant, you'll see that there's a they always they're lately they've always been asking for a tip. And there's sometimes a reason why they're asking for a tip. Now, I'm not gonna say and put blame on anybody here, but sometimes and often that tip doesn't go to the employee. It goes up to pay that machine because those machines are quite expensive. But you don't always have to go with the top and latest and greatest payment system. There's smaller ones throughout. all sorts of cities across the US and Canada that you're going to get a better interchange fee. You're going to get a better price on the terminal. And so a lot of businesses will say, okay, well, I only have one terminal. One terminal, depending on how many transactions you're doing on that, you'll be able to save between $30,000 to $100,000 just with that one terminal. So merchant services is huge. Especially lately, they've been gouging. And if you're in a high or a wealthy income area, the merchant has to pay for your points. So if someone comes in with that black credit card, you are getting the points, but the merchant has to pay for your points. And people don't realize that. So I'd say that's the first thing. Second one would be shipping. So shipping, the reason why a lot of these companies are making so much money is because no one understands logistics. And I'm not talking, I shouldn't say no one, but most people don't understand logistics. You'll have a container that goes from China to Brazil, but then you don't have a connector to pick it up, sign the paperwork, and bring it to your destination. And then it's sitting there and you have to pay a warehouse fee. With shipping, there's all kinds of rates that change, and there's actually software now that you can go in and get the best rate on a daily basis, but no one knows how to do that. Or most people don't know how to do that. And I'd say the third one is waste management. So waste management, yes, it is still I'll call it the soprano category, but it is one of those categories where they just gouge you and they'll start once and then they'll keep going back again. But because we have those relationships, we're able to say, listen, we have a ton of customers. If you don't keep this pricing, that's it, we're gone. So I'd say those are the biggest three I would say so far, and telecom.
Absolutely. Economy of scale is the real thing. And then to your point about the tipping, I didn't know that. I've seen, I think it was like a meme or a GIF or a short or something where it was just a kiosk and it was asking for a tip and everybody was like, that's ridiculous. Why would I tip a kiosk? There's no person associated with it. So that kind of makes more sense now because I thought it was just ridiculous. Well, it's still ridiculous, but I just thought it was ridiculous and I didn't know what the purpose would be. So that makes sense. How can entrepreneurs streamline their operations to reduce costs in 90 days or less?
Couple things. If you connect with me, I can create a free comprehensive audit for you. We can look at 12 different categories and understand where you're lacking, where we look at each and every line item and understand exactly where that's going. And at the end of those 90 days, I can create two things. We can either find savings or we can find out that you're already doing a great job. Second thing that I'm going to do, and I also have a partner with, is we have all these tools online. You have Microsoft, Google, Go High Level. There's so many different integrations, software nowadays. If you can find a system where you can integrate all of your tools effectively and efficiently with all of your users in your organization, that's one way to also streamline it. Instead of having Teams and Slack and this and that, get a consultant, have a look at everything as a whole. What are you actually using and what are you not? If you're using Netflix and not Hulu, get rid of it. If you're using Spotify instead of Apple Music, get rid of it. And it's not just also about the subscriptions, but what inside are you doing that is either minimizing time, maximizing time? Is there an AI tool out there that can replace certain pieces? What does that look like? There's so many avenues.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, that's a really good point. A lot of people that they'll end up with like a tech stack of things that are super redundant. Like one thing can handle three or four things, and you have an individual thing you're paying for all of it. So that's awesome. What key factors would you say set a business up for long-term success and sustainable growth?
There's no I in team. You cannot do it yourself. It's connecting with people and breaking down that barrier and saying, I need help, and having the right people in place to help you succeed. So you mentioned it earlier, you can't do everything. Have somebody that does recruiting, marketing, any sort of job function, lean into what they can help you with. I would also say do a lot of networking and networking with again, the right groups of people. So in the beginning, you're going to find that you're just going to go hard with networking and there's going to be people that don't align with you. That's cool. Find your key needles in the haystack and always keep those relationships going. When you keep those relationships going, that's how you create a business. For myself, I can offer, let's say, my marketing agency tomorrow morning, but someone's going to say, okay, well, but why should I trust you? So everything is not always a one and done deal. It takes time to build those pieces and create those relationships. I would also say in the last thing, don't give up. You're coming from that employee mindset. It's going to take you time to build. And even I still have days where I'm like, what am I doing? But then when I think about what I did a year ago to now, I'm like, okay, you know what? It's okay. We're on a good path. So don't give up. That would be the last one I would say.
Yeah, all fantastic advice. Is there anything that I missed or failed to ask that you wanted to add?
I think you hit all the nails on with the hammer. I would just like to reiterate, if people are looking for a free audit or want to see what money's left in their business and what's on the table and how we can help, I'm here.
Okay, awesome. For people that want to do that or that just want to get in touch with you, where can they find you and how can they get a hold of you?
You can connect with me on LinkedIn, Instagram. You can give me a shout on the phone. I've got many different methods. They'll also be in the show notes and my website as well. If you fill out your contact info, we'll get you started right away on a free audit.
Perfect. Yeah, and you're right. I'm gonna put all that in the show notes. And super easy to find. If anybody would like to get a hold of Erica, absolutely do it. Have that conversation. See if there's any inefficiencies in your business because there probably is. And if it could save you 1,000, 10,000, $100,000, you'd rather have that than not. So absolutely have that conversation. We all could use help in our businesses. There's always things we're overlooking or we're being inefficient with. So even if you think you're doing great, do that because you're going to get a pat on the back if you're doing a great job. Otherwise, you're going to find you money. So absolutely do that. Reach out to Erica. She's the exact same, on a conversation as she is here. So have that. If you'll want to get a hold of me, you can find me at ikag.me. You can find more episodes, subscribe to our newsletter, connect with awesome people like Erica in our growing community. If you or somebody would like to be interviewed, you can also apply on the website. But Erica, I really appreciate the time you coming on and pouring into us. There's a lot of great advice in here, and I hope everybody was taking notes. And if not, you can go back and take notes a second time. So it doesn't hurt anybody to listen twice. So let's all go out, have an awesome day, and grow a circle. All right.